record, and I've got screen share. Welcome to the Schnitzer Master Agency Huddle. Can you guys see my screen okay? Give me a thumbs up. Sabine, I got you. Thank you. All right. It is October 13th. If you didn't know it was October 13th, welcome to October 13th. Here we are. Always love to start off by introducing you guys to the levels of leadership here on the team. That way you guys know who to go to for help. And I don't want to limit this page to the people that are going to help you because there's so many people that are not on this screen here that are just the biggest servant leaders within the organization. But structurally, I like to show you guys this page because it makes sense. It goes right in line with the promotion guidelines where you start by becoming a team leader, where you got two people direct to you on your team, issuing 10 grand 2 months in a row. Then you become a key leader. You've got three people direct to you on your team, issuing 20 grand 2 months in a row. And then you become agency owner, where you have six people on your team. Four need to be direct to you, six total, issuing 30 grand 3 months in a row. And that's how you become an agency owner. Put a one in the chat if you want to become an agency owner. I want to see who my future leaders are. That way I know, and I can recognize you as a future leader. There you go. Awesome. I see a bunch of ones. So we got a bunch of people pushing. Actually, a lot of you are already agency owners in the making right now. You're writing business, you're setting the example, and you have people on your team that are writing business. And I was just having a really good conversation with one of the leaders on our team earlier today. I'm like, hey, we can overcomplicate this thing so much, thinking that we need to be so many different things for people. Let me boil this business down for you, okay? Because this company is incredible. This company has resources. Okay. This company, it's basically like what I was told when I was new, a business in a box, has everything we need: leads, technology, partnerships with the best carriers that pay you. We have training, we have ongoing personal development. I can't even name all the wonderful things that we have. So why overcomplicate things? My only job as a leader is to set the example and be a picture of possibility. What else do I need to do to complicate it? Get out and write some business and help some families, show other people how to do that and put it on repeat, right? And get busy creating my own systems and generating my own protocol and just creating chaos in my business. I'm just follow the system and set a really good example by doing so. The best way to lead people through this business is to show them a picture of possibility. Okay. And that's what these folks are doing. So love you guys. Love our leadership team. Can't wait till we have more faces on on that page. If I were new, these are the calls that I would go to each week. You guys are already on the Schnitzer Master Agency call, so kudos for doing that. If you could be on camera, even bonus points to you. If you are jumping out of an airplane or giving birth or you're in front of your boss at your other job that you're trying to leave, I'll let you off the hook. Schnitzer Master Agency call is a good way to start off Mondays. Great way to kind of meet people on the team and be involved in the chat and kind of see the leaderboard, see who you're working with. That way, you know who your support system is, guys. Every person on our team who is winning is willing to help you. I can honestly say that. All right. They may not get back to you within 3 hours. They'll get back to you though. We have a very servant-hearted leadership team. I would say that for everyone that comes on board that's been here for 6 months or more, that has something to teach somebody, they're willing to help you. Okay. So good place to meet people, kind of plug into the greater team culture. And then we go into Tuesday. We have our top producer call. This one's very special for me because I've worked at other companies before that don't give you all the secrets of what the top producers are doing. And it's very frustrating because you look at the people that are winning and you're like, well, if I only knew what they were doing, I would do it. I would copy them. So this is a great call to plug into. Our top producers are just going to spill the beans, share all their secrets, and share a little bit of story too. I think that's valuable. Kind of talking to you guys about how they went from maybe struggling in the business or being inconsistent to being very consistent and what small changes they needed to make along the way. That's a great call. Wednesday is our national call, guys. 12:30 to 2 p.m. You don't have to be on camera for this one. This is the only one throughout the week where you don't have to be on camera, but you're definitely going to want to be engaged. This call will change your week. This call could change your business. I think if you have plans to be an agency owner or even go on someday to be a 130, you can't miss this one. It's that important. You just can't miss it. New agent activation is Wednesday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. I would say for anyone within their first 90 days to go through this 2 or 3 times. whether you're in pre-licensing, still studying for your license, or whether you're in your first 90 days of production, I would recommend that you go through this call 3 times, two at the very least. First time is like watching a brand new movie. You get in your feels when you watch the movie. The second time you watch that movie, you actually remember the storyline, right? Or you notice things that you didn't see before because you were emotional the first time you watched it. That's how going through new agent activation is for you. The first time is typically going to hit you in your feelings because Jim is not soft about what is needed to be a successful agent here. He's very direct. He's fun with it, but he's very direct. And then the second time, you'll probably want to take down a bunch more notes as you'll be noticing things that you missed the first go around. And then the Be a Better Builder call. That's Thursdays, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern. Wilbur called me out on this earlier. I was trying to schedule something else during that call. He's like, that's time for a Be a Better Builder call. I was like, man, I was not looking at my calendar because I will not miss one of those. I offered up the time and he's like, well, we have Be a Better Builder. I'm like, nope, let's move it. I mean, this call is so important to me every Thursday. The best builders in the company are talking to us about how to build our businesses, how to recruit, how to coach people, how to build this thing bigger and be more successful and create more time and passive freedom in our lives. Put a two in the chat if you want more time and passive freedom in your life. Awesome. Yeah, that's what we want to learn. Let's be on Thursdays together. That's it for new agents. This is what I would focus on. There's a lot of calls every single week. The corporate calendar is pretty large, okay? And you're probably sitting there trying to navigate like where should I spend my time? What should I plug into? Okay, we'll help narrow down a few for you. But you get to make the choice. This is your business. You guys can see all of the calls available in the Mac room. This is our virtual office. We call it the Mac room. It stands for Massive Action Constant Correction. This is the place where you go to do both. All right. We're going to have a lot of those calls that I just mentioned, top producer call, the Be a Better Builder call. They're all hosted within this Mac room. It's kind of like our virtual office, like I said, but every other hour outside of those hosted like training calls, you guys can just hop in there and listen to people dial. You can see there's people signed up all day. I think Giovanna kicked off the day today for us. Giovanna, how did that go for you? I always like to hear, was it 15 dials, 14 appointments set, and 7,200 in premium?
It went good. I made a couple appointments.
Good.
Yeah.
Every time I listen to Giovanna's dial, so I'll just give you a hard time for this because I think it was only one time the guy answered the call and he was like, "Oh, I was waiting for you to call me. Can we do this now?" And I'm just like, this would be the response that Giovanna gets on a first phone call. I gotta like talk people into it and chase them down 3 times when they no show me, and Giovanna just takes the sales wall down for people a little bit better than I do. But you'll want to listen to Giovanna. You'll want to listen to Trisha Benish, Chandra Banks, Michelle Smith, Mariah Kelly, like great people. Amber Pearson's top producer, dialing later today, 5 o'clock. Just hop in there and listen. You don't have to be on camera. You can just listen. This is a great learning opportunity for you just to plug in and kind of hear how people do their business. Always like to show you guys a calendar of the month. That way you know where you're at with promotions. It's a 5 week month. So Slingshot, you're required to write business, submit it into Opt 4 out of the 5 weeks. Now, I also want to make sure you guys know the last day to issue pay your business is October 31st. And the last day to submit your business is October 31st. Kind of a weird thing this month, right? It just hard stops on the 31st. So we want to make sure that we're front loading our month. If you're running after a promotion, I know Henri and Sabina and Sabrina and John, y'all brand new, like, you're just starting to write business. Got to write 4 out of the 5 weeks this month to get a slingshot. At the very least, you're issuing $2,500 your first month and you're hitting month 1 of 2 of your promotion. If not hitting your slingshot, either way, you want to make sure you get your business in early. Okay, this is the first time you 3 are hearing me say this, or you 4 are hearing me say this, but I'll say it forever because Kate and I have missed so many promotions because we're waiting for those last 4 days of the month to really get to hustle and like make up for missed ends. So get your business in early, get those promotions done. Jeremiah, I see you getting in business early. Just saw your face pop up on my screen. You're getting business in. Good job, sir. But yeah, just lessons from the journey for the new folks. Front load your month. I'm really excited about this. I actually asked for this to be on our slideshow for this week and probably for the next couple weeks. Has anyone heard about this? Raise your hand. Anybody? Venus? Was it just AO Mastermind call then? I'm only seeing AOs raise their hand. Okay, cool. Wilbur, can you explain this to me?
Yeah, so I mean, historically, we would have to put in all lead orders like a bonus and lower, or we know them as bonus, but those are your newer. It used to be just called bonus leads, but and you used to have to fill out a paper app thing and send it in to get a SLO and all that stuff. It'll all be through lead stream now, even if you don't have your 6 applications in. So the SLO rule will only be for A leads, but you'll be able to go in here, purchase leads, whether it's B through whatever we go to now, F. And so it's a one-stop shop and a lot easier. That way you're not having to send Scott paper things and spell something wrong and all that jazz. So it'll be
Oh,
way,
thank
way
God we're
easier to
getting
be
rid of
able
the
to
paper
manage all
forms.
of your leads. You
Perfect.
can, and they're also going to have it so you can check your billing. So like you know where you stand, how many leads actually came in on that order and everything.
Perfect. Yeah, one unified platform is going to be amazing. Just makes things so much easier. If you're brand new, just hang tight. You don't know the old struggle of going into two different platforms or filling out a paper copy of your lead order and sending it to your upline and then waiting 5 weeks for it to come back as approved. It's just those times are gone. Thank God. Symmetry Fall Tour, you guys, bunch of different fall tours coming up. These are the ones that are supported by Symmetry. So put them on your calendar. I see every day different people signing up for these different boot camps, and I love that you guys are doing that. I think I just saw that Brian Krause, you signed up for the PA. Is it PA? Okay, cool. My buddy Jim Larson was
Sure.
worried if anyone was coming to that one. So
Yep. I'll be there.
okay, cool. Right on. I know for me that's not I don't think that's too far away, right? A little quick hop. That's probably the closest one to me. Georgia and Arizona and Texas are a lot further away, so I'll see if I can meet you there. You guys,
Sweet.
great opportunities to plug in to Symmetry, to learn, to meet people, to associate, all the above. It's going to be great. Do you want to put out there Ignite tickets? We're going to be promoting this all the way to March 16th through 18th. We still have tickets available for $140. You can Venmo me if you'd like to go to this event. This is our second biggest conference of the year. We have Denver conference, which is the one time a year Symmetry puts on. Ignite is put on by our largest agencies within Symmetry. It's a really special event, guys. I would say this event is life changing. I wish I could have Rod on this, like just be a little plug for this every single time because last week he popped on and he's like, just shared his story of going to Ignite when he was brand new. He didn't even intend to be there. I didn't tell you guys this last week, but Rod was gonna fly home the day before Ignite. Him and I were spending the weekend doing ministry work, and then he was gonna fly home, and he missed his flight, uh, and ended up staying for Ignite, and it changed his. I think it probably changed his life. I mean, he decided that what he was gonna do here in this business at that conference because he saw examples of what he wanted to do here in this business. You ever heard someone in Symmetry say, "I'm standing on the shoulders of giants"? You guys ever hear that terminology? How cool is it we get to do that at a conference and seeing people? This business only started in what, 2008? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. There's some giants here already. Okay, so how many years is that? Someone put in the chat for me. I'm really bad at math on the spot. How many years is that? If we started in 2008, Symmetry's been
16,
around
man.
16 years,
17. Bob's better
17
at
years.
math. I don't
Wilbur,
know.
since you're unmuted,
Danny Young kept saying 16 years a day on his call, so that's where I'm getting it from.
17 years. So, Wilbur, since you're unmuted, what would your life look like if in 17 years from now your business was doing 360 million a year? What would life look like?
Oh man, it'd look wild. I think the biggest thing is there would be a lot more lives affected from that, not just mine. That's probably the main thing.
Hundreds
Yeah.
of thousands of lives. They've already sold 1 million policies. That means 1 million family members have been protected with life insurance. But I can promise you, within this company, even with the 6,000 agents we have, thousands of families have been impacted by this. All right. I watched this really cool podcast yesterday, Wilbur. You would really like this. No, it was an Instagram video, longer one. And the guy was like, I've got 4 goals: become a millionaire, um, or sorry, $1 million in revenue for 1 year, then $1 million in net paid revenue to myself. Has anyone seen this on Instagram lately? It's been going around. Okay, so he's like, my first goal is to do $1 million in business, and for Kate and I, we did that. Our first time was in 2023. We did 1.13 million in revenue. And then he said his second goal, which is what we're working on now, is to have one calendar year where his business actually pays him $1 million. Okay, because having $1 million in annual premium is a lot different than getting paid $1 million. We all know that. And then he said his third goal is to help someone become a million, like earn $1 million in a year. And then his fourth goal is to give away $1 million in a year. Like like Symmetry is on that type of impact level, guys. They're giving away $1.1 million a month in bonuses. Are you kidding me? All right, soapbox done. Go to Ignite. Don't miss it. We got a contest for selling tickets. Here's everyone that signed up. I just want to be there with everybody. So I got on my soapbox for a little bit. Venus Diaz, I never took you down, girl. I left you up there. I just told Kellen, I was like, don't even change my template. Venus is on there every single week. 54, 54 in production, number 8 agency director. Great job last week. We've got new writers for the week. Sabina, y'all just met her. So excited for you, Sabina. 2 apps, it looks like. Great job. We got Kyle Stockton, 1 app 137, Jake Welther, 1 app 123, and Amy. I've never asked you how do you say your name in public, so I'm just gonna go for it. Is it Hink? Tell me how I did, guys. Do you think it's Hink? I maybe need her to send me a voice text phonetically. She's on my team. I should know this. Amy, great job. 1 app. For those of you who have cat pictures, you just need to update your picture in Slack. We'll take care of you. Don't worry. Top 6 last week. Great job to Tiffany. I think this is your first time on top 6. Is Tiffany on the call right now? Whose team is Tiffany on?
My team,
Tom. She's on Tom. Okay.
Giovanna and Mickey.
Giovanna. Okay, perfect. Ti I feel like she's here to stay, like on the top producer board. Am I
Oh,
right?
she is. She is absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, Tiffany, I know you're not on this call. If you end up watching the recording, amazing job. I've been seeing like we call them buying signs in this business. I've been seeing buying signs that you're going to be a top producer, and I'm very excited for you um, in your career. So great job. Teresa Kelly, talk about buying signs. This girl can write some business. 4804 in premium, 5 apps. Jeremiah. See, I wasn't wrong. Jeremiah, you've been making waves. Look at you go. 6243, 4 apps. I'm usually more in touch with this stuff, but out on vacation, I didn't see all the emails coming in. So great job to everyone who wrote a policy last week. Jared Salatis had a monster week. Almost had a 10K week on the line, but I believe he told me the client didn't have a bank account. They were living in 1910 and needed to go open up a bank account. So he almost had a 10K a week. Landed the plane at 84, 88 for abs. Eleanor McNamara. I don't know how you landed at 9,000, but it looks really good. 9,000 for 5 apps. Great job. Sarah Hadley taking first place, 9,050. You're on a mission this month. This is really, really cool. It's weird you didn't mention that you're at 9K when we talked on Friday. You just talked about all the wonderful people on your team. So, great job, girl. I appreciate you for being selfless leader like you are, but amazing week in production. That is not easy in 1 week. And for everyone who wrote an app last week, congratulations. Here's your road to ownership. So this is everyone who's not yet an agency owner, but building a team, right? And when I told you guys earlier what qualifies you, actually, what you need to focus on is being a picture of possibility and leading people by example. And that shows up on this screen, okay? You're writing business and you have people on your team that are writing business, which means you get to show up on the road to ownership board and we'll celebrate you guys and cheer you on all the way until you hit agency owner. Okay, so we'll start with celebrating Annie Morell, the Morell Agency. We got to get a picture of you and your handsome husband there, Gavin. We gotta get the dream team up there, Annie. But you guys had 3878, 4 apps, 2 writers, 1 new writer. Team Goldsmith, 5588. This is for the month so far, so this is 2 weeks in. 5 apps, 4 writers. 7829 from Team Kelly, 12 apps, 3 writers. Team Savelier, 13-1, 13 apps, 4 writers. Team Neal, 13,675, 15 apps, 6 writers, and Team Hadley taking the cake for the road to ownership page at 15,000, 14 apps, and 4 writers. Great job. Let's go. Here's your agency owners, just kind of accumulation for the month. I'll give you guys the highlight. The highlight is that we have helped 115 families so far this month. All right. And I have a feeling this team's going to help about 300 by the end of the month. So let's keep pushing to serve every time we help a family. And I love this about our business. You guys may think like, oh, it was a really small app that I wrote last week. Okay. They're only paying $19 a month. How big of a blessing is it that we work for a company that has options for someone to start off at $19 a month? You guys, that's pretty incredible, right? You can fit within anyone's budget, whatever they need. You get to serve that family. All right. Average case size within Symmetry for a new agent is about $1,000 per case. So that means they're paying what? Somewhere around 80 something dollars per month. But even the small ones, I look at those as a blessing. So even if you helped out, it's a really small policy, you helped them out last week, you still served a family and you're able to fit it inside their budget, which I think is super honorable. So let's keep pushing, no matter how big or small that app is. Let's push for 300. Let's have an incredible next couple weeks. And here's your guys as leaders that are steering the ships. Look at those beautiful faces. All right, road to SNA. Let's go, Kylan. Got a finisher over here. We got Kylan at SNA. This is brand new, so this must have happened last week. We've got Alma and Tiffany at 3 apps, Jaya and Sabina at 2, and a grip of people at 1. So you guys have each individually your own SNA date, which means season new agent. And the way that we look at this is that you write your first 6 apps in your first 6 weeks. So for those of you that are on your run to hitting that milestone, you'll get a one-on-one with me. Um, pretty, secluded time in my schedule that I have for these that I just can't wait to fill them up. And you'll get some one-on-one time with me. We'll go through sales training or leadership training or whatever you want to talk about. If you want to talk about vision, great. If you want to talk about the Buffalo Bills, great. I don't care what it is, but I'll give that time to you, okay? All right. If you want to talk about the Dolphins, John, I'm out. I will not be there with you, sir. Mick Trumbo, I won't even have that conversation. You can stay out of my calendar with your Kansas City Chiefs. All right, that's it. Javon, I don't know why I just asked you to unmute, but you don't have to unmute. I've got a guest today. Andrew, you still here? I know I took a half hour on slides. You probably bounced out and came back after a snack.
No, man, I was here. I was hanging tight.
Cool.
Y'all got
I don't know if you love this like I do, but I like hopping on other people's team calls because I'm like, I'm stealing that slide, I'm stealing that slide. So what you just saw is probably me stealing things from all of our friends. So
it's funny you say that because exactly what I was doing. I was just taking some notes. It's always so interesting to see like how everyone runs their calls. But what I really love, man, is just it's you're just really talking to your agency the whole way through of your
Mhm.
leaderboards. And guys, I was enjoying every piece of it. Shout out to a lot of you guys for absolutely smoking it as well. Job well done. You're part of a special, special crew here.
Yeah, I can talk to most of them. Then when I see a name that I don't know yet, I'm like, okay, vacation, I could blame it on that, but really there's no excuse. So I gotta like go do a little bit of research on who like Zariah. Is that how I say her last name, Giovanna? Is it Zariah? Like I need to get to know her, coming out of the gates and showing us all how
Yes.
it's done, you know. So shout out to her. But anyways, Andrew, I'm excited for this, man. I asked you to kind of have a talk with my team. For those of you who don't know Andrew, you should. He's a senior vice president with the company. He's an advisory board member, and he's got one of the best hearts that you'll ever meet. And those are the only stats that I really want to talk about today. His agency's done some wonderful things. He inspired me to want to grow a big agency when I was new because I was hopping on my very first flight to my very first conference, and this was like the weekend I quit my job. I've told you guys all this story before, and I'm sitting on the plane, and I'm like, I'm nervous. I don't know anybody. I want to quit my job. I just need to go to conference to really see if this whole thing is real and not a gimmick. And I'm sitting next to these girls on the plane, and they're like, "This is our first conference. We're so excited. We're on Andrew Jimenez's team. We love him. He's such a great guy." And I had seen Andrew on a national call before, and I'm like, that's pretty cool, man. These girls are flying out to come see him, and they're just so jacked to meet him. And ended up hearing your story actually about 3 months before that, Andrew. Um, Ashley Tar at the time had you on her team call. This was probably the last time Ashley had you on a team call. So do you remember this?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, and I sat there and heard your story, and Wilbur remembers it too still. So put a 3 in the chat because I'm up to 3 now. Put a 3 in the chat if you were there. There might be maybe 2 other people. Oh, snap. Okay. Look at the OGs coming in.
Look at
Uh,
that.
I want you to go back to that time and have that talk with my team. Like, dude, I remember hearing that and I'm like, this is really helpful because I'm actually moving a little bit quicker than Andrew and he's a 130 now. Like I selfishly, I thought that when I heard your story, I was like, I'm moving just a little bit quicker than him and he's a 130 and young guy and just really had a more of a struggle start than I did. So I kind of felt after leaving that call, I kind of felt a little bit better about where I was at. And I'm not trying to do that for people here today, but I do want them to know that a lot can happen in a little bit of time and that you only lose when you quit and that there's a lot that comes from the story that you're building right now in your journey. I feel like they can grab all three of those from your story and kind of run with them today. So I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit further and tell us that story.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a heads up, Scott, I wore my Comfort and Chaos shirt because, per usual, I have a fireplace guy that's supposed to come over and do like micro cement on the house. My landscaper is here, and my wife's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to go to the gym." And then, of course, just as the call's starting, I see all these cars line up, and I'm like, "Oh boy." So, if I gotta run and unlock a door for a fast second, just a heads up there. But
We're all
guys.
ready. We stay ready.
Yeah, I did unlock it, so hopefully they figure it out. But guys, Andrew Jimenez here, direct to the bald, the beautiful Mr. Jacob Pogue, and incredibly grateful to be so. It's also really cool to see on this call, Scott, like a lot of people I met at conference, like Tay McKinley, I see you guys, my boy Wilbur over there. What's up, Bobby? And then just basically like one to be able to get a chance to just come in and share with you guys, it's super, super cool. So here's what I want to go ahead and do. Well, let me just yell at it. All right, cool. He figured it
Oh,
out.
Andrew, this is the easiest team to like use no shame. This is the easiest team to just hang out with and not worry about having to unmute and walk away. Wilbur will tell a dad joke or whatever. Actually, you know what? I can just grab my dad joke books just in case you do have to
We're
step away. Okay, go
we're
ahead.
good. He figured
Okay.
it out. All right. So yeah, let me take you guys back to like when I first started, which by the way, I've been here with Symmetry since 2016. I started this business, stopped from stocking boxes in the warehouse where I was making about 12 bucks an hour. I made 1,500 bucks a month, and by the time I finished paying student loans were 600, rent was 600, and you pay everything else, food, gas, electricity. I only had like 100, $150 left over every single month. And so I found myself in a place, I'm 21 years old at this time, where I'm a college dropout. I got nothing going for me. And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, man, maybe I should get into sales so I can have actually a career path of some sort, some way, right? I've always had ambition. I've always felt like I can really do something special. I've got a mind that likes to just run a million miles per hour in 17 directions, but I also found I can execute well. But I just found myself in a spot where, I said, man, if I want to really kind of project and get in my life a little bit better, maybe I should kind of put it in a path that would work. So I tried to go do car sales, and the car dealerships I wanted to work at, they were like, no, man, go get a little bit more experience, come back later. Then I went to, what was it, a cubicle-based sales, and it just was not for me. The CSR rep, the environment, the cubicle, direct TV, gosh, I lasted 2 weeks, my friends, and then I put in my 2 week notice, and they were just like, "Hey, buddy, you're good. Don't sweat it." And then I came across insurance, and at the time, I was like, "Oh, that's pretty good. Everyone needs like life insurance." And I know that obviously, like, hey, we watch all these commercials. It seems like every insurance company in the world has sponsored the NFL at this point. It's like it's half the commercials there. I said that seems like a good career. My grandma could use some. Then my next thought, Wilbur, was like, oh shoot, what if they got me like going out there and door knocking in 115-degree heat because I live in Arizona? Or then my next thought, Scott, was like, oh shoot, what happens if I end up having to go ahead and just pitch my friends and family indefinitely, or I end up like Jake at State Farm? I just walked away from that whole like that whole scenario. And it was none of that. There was a system, there was process, there was coaching, there was mentorship. It felt like I was walking into something that I could actually create a career with. And now, 10 years later, it'll be 10 years for me in February. That's exactly what's happened. I've been able to build and develop a career that my first year in this business, I was able to make 80 grand. My second year, I cleared 100. My third year, I was able to make 200 grand, and I haven't made anything less than that since. I have ownership in this business. I established my own agency after 18 months in this business. And now, fast forward 6.5 years, it took me to hit 130. But guys, I really haven't made less than $20,000 a month, and who knows how long at this point. And that's just how my life's been set up. So if you're looking at this thing and you're brand new and you're at a point in your life where you're just like Andrew, and I'm just kind of talking to me. So put a yep in the chat, or me too, kind of if you're a little bit here too, where you're just feeling like there's a lot of odds stacked against you, or man, if I wish I just had some more money to make sure I could take care of last month's rent, let alone next month's that's still coming up. That'd be kind of nice, right? I was there. If maybe you're also like me too, where guys, I suffered from crippling self-doubt in this business. I came in with a ton of backlash from my family and a ton of being structured and put in as a black sheep right out the gate. It was ridiculous, you know. And I speak towards the self-doubt. One of the pieces that I just always kind of ran into was like, man, like how come Roddy Jessup can go out there and write $5 grand in a week, and I'm 6 weeks into this thing and I'm barely getting to that point, right? How is it that, Ryan Miller and Brian Delaney, they're such good coaches. And if my first year in this business, I had 14 opt IDs and no one to show for it. I got one agent that couldn't go to conference and the other one that couldn't even afford to get my gas money to get to the gas station. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, man, my agents would be so much better direct to somebody else. And so if you're anything like that, I want to let you know that just truly hear me out. It's just a momentary piece in time. Focus on just growing you. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my story of how I came up, and specifically my first 90 days. So I can just kind of know for everyone, if you're in your first 90 days, can you go and just put a 90 in the chat just so I can get a quick idea? So let me tell you guys how I got started. So like I said, I'm getting going in this business. And Jacob, they send me a packet. Back in the day, we had to fill out a big giant packet like this. And Jacob's like, yep, just fill this thing out. And he goes, oh, by the way, you'll want to make sure that you go ahead and have some money for leads, have your money for your license. It's about $200 to $300 there. A lead's about 250 a week. And then, yeah, it should be good to go. And I'm thinking to myself, like, wait, $300 for your license, $1,000 for leads. I don't got none of that money. Like, I don't know where you guys get your money from, but I can show you my bank account today. It got overdrafted. And I'll never forget what Jacob told me. He said, Andrew, in this business, your job is to go out there and help people solve their financial issues. Like, God forbid, if anything ever happened to them, the mortgage is going to be okay, Tay. And if you don't, or if you can't figure out your own financial problems, how do you expect to help others figure out theirs? See, before I even turned in a packet, I've already started to receive the mentorship that I was looking for. And that sold me. I said, okay, well, here's the deal, Giovanna. I can go out there and I can breathe and spend like $100 to $200 nowadays. I can get a license. I'll figure that out. But truly, James, I don't have any money extra for some leads. I'm broke as heck. So I said, what are some ways that I can get started? I mean, I'm going to go get this license. Can I help out some people I know? And Jacob was like, yeah. So I kept it super, super, super simple, Scott. I called Scott and I would just be like, hey, Scott, do you already have life insurance? He said, yep. Great. Maybe we can save you some money. Called Wilbur. I said, Wilbur, do you have life insurance? He said, nope. Great. Maybe you like what we got. Called 10 people, sold 3 policies. I made $1,500 by the end of the week. Okay. Now, when I first got started in this business, I came in the end of January. My first like actual week in the field of buying leads was February like 1st. Well, conference was that February 4th. So I got started 2 weeks before conference. They're telling me to get over to this thing. Obviously, I just helped out some people that I knew. So I said, screw it. I'll take $500. I'll buy a plane ticket. I'll buy this conference ticket and I'll go talk and see what this whole big shebang is. I'm in. Well, I started to get leads in my first week. I'm going to line out my entire first week for you guys. Week 1, I sat down about $250 worth of leads, and I'm sitting down, Scott, and I just go ahead and I start hammering the phones, and I get hit with rejection after rejection after rejection. I made like 180 something dials. I spoke to, I think, 40 something people, and I booked 3 appointments. But I was fired up for those 3 appointments. I'll tell you that. I was like, all right, I went through the objections. I knew what's kind of next. Well, my first appointment, I pulled the biggest rookie mistake of all rookies, Henry, because I know that somebody out there was talking about being a failed businessman. Well, let me tell you about my failure from the jump. I looked down at my lead, drove to my client's appointment, knock on the door, nobody's answering, knock on the door again, nobody's answering, called the guy. He says, "Hey, oh, I'm outside. I'll come back over." Waited 5 minutes and that should have told me everything. Knock on the door, no one. Called the client and he says, "Son, there ain't nobody outside. I'm standing here right now." I looked at my address that I drove to. Guys, my very first appointment in this business, I drove to the wrong client's house. I drove to my 8 o'clock instead of my 6 o'clock. I had to get in my car and drive 40 minutes across Phoenix during rush hour traffic and spend gas money I had no business spending for the client to just basically tell me this: "Son, if you don't get your schedule under control, no one's going to do business with you," and close the door on me. Day one. Go back to my 8 o'clock, knock on that door, still no one home. Tuesday, I knock on that door. And he goes, "Oh, that mortgage protection thing, insurance? Yeah, don't worry about it. Somebody already came over the weekend." I'm like, "Came over the weekend? I called you on Saturday." Like, you told me Tuesday. So I'm getting on this plane flight on Thursday, and the only thing I'm thinking to myself at the time, Jacob, is just like, man, this business is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I got to find out one thing that can make me go out there and come and be successful come Monday, because everybody else is doing it. But here's the deal, is what I don't think people really understand in the beginning, and this is a piece for the learning curve, is sometimes if you got the ticket to the game, it doesn't mean you're still in the same city. See, if the ticket was out here in Arizona, Andrew was still in New York City, and I had to drive to the stadium before I was going to be allowed in. Some people are going to start on the 10-yard line. Some people are going to start on the 50-yard line. Somebody going to start from their own 20. Andrew, I had a whole different level just to get to be average. Okay, so I want everyone to know that first. So we're going on conference, and everything was happening, and all these big numbers were being talked about, and the business was being told. But it came across at one point from Casey Watkins when it was just like an intro piece. He was about to introduce another person, and he just simply said this. He said, "Guys, this is a business of metrics." And he said, if you want to come in here and you understand that you just got to go out there and learn, it's got to make one more phone call, to book one more appointment, to go see one more family, to go write one more policy. And if you do that, you will be successful, because the only time you lose is if you let the metrics beat you, is when you quit. And I said, okay, I can do that, Casey. I can just follow the exact system that you guys said. So I pulled out the 4 cornerstones and I took all those bullet points and I turned them into check mark boxes. And I said, am I even doing what Symmetry says? I'm sold. I'm fired up. Belief locked in. Massive action. 10. It said 12 to 15 appointments every single week. It said 400 to 500 dials. I was like, well, shoot, I made 180 and I booked 3. It said chat with your mentor. Hadn't done that. Talked about ongoing self-improvement and that you're going to need to take 30 minutes a day of studying and training. Hadn't done that. Had talked about association and plugging in with people who are better than you. Hadn't done that either. So I found myself in a point where I said, all right, if I'm going to do this business, it's going to probably have to take me 3 to 4 times more work to be average like everybody else. And then that's when things started rolling through. So I'm going to roll through with you guys the next 3 weeks fairly quickly here, Scott, and we'll get it done in a couple minutes. We got some other stuff we can chat about. But guys, my first week was 186 dials, 40 contacts, 3 appointments, right? My second week was 750 something dials and ridiculous amount of contacts and 4 appointments and 0 sales. My third week in this business, I made 1,016 dials. Yes, hand dialing. Okay, it took me 30 hours from Thursday until Sunday. I spoke to an asinine amount of people, and I booked 9 appointments and made 0 sales. And see, that week, my thought process was that was the hardest week that I had ever had, because that was the same week that my grandmother, who was living with her, by the way, I was sleeping on an old leather futon couch in 110-degree heat in Arizona, which the air conditioning did not get to that room very well. I remember that week, my desk, it was not this. It did not look like I have a house now. It was a brown TV dinner pop-up stand that my laptop went on top of that. My leads went on top of my laptops, and I just literally flipped over the leads onto the ground. And unless they cussed at me and I didn't want to work with them and I crumpled that paper and threw it behind me, I took that entire stack and literally put it right back on top and recalled them all. Guys, that week was the hardest ever because as I was dialing, my grandma retires, everybody and their mother was coming over. All of a sudden, I just hear this knock on the door. Hey, Andrew, what you doing back there? Andrew, don't you want to come out and play? Andrew, don't you know your grandmother retired? Don't you want to come out and say hi? Andrew, don't you work for yourself? Can't you just take some time off? Are you really kind of trying to do that whole insurance thing? Can't you just go ahead and say like, oh yeah, you'll get to it later? And the only thing I'm thinking to my head is this. No, Scott, if I don't sit here and actually dial, I'm not gonna have a job in 2 weeks. I got whopping $250 left of these leads that I got to work with. And so I sat there and I dialed and I faced the ridicule. And I made 0 sales again that week. But the only thing I was thinking that entire time, my friends, is I looked at those 4 cornerstones and I was really focused there. It was like, holy shoot, I'm getting a whole lot better. First week was 186 and 3 appointments. Second week, 750 and 4 appointments. Third week, 1,016 and 9 appointments. But see, here's the thing is I could tell the difference between how I was handling objections and how much better I was getting. Because I came into week 4, and here's what happened in week 4, John. I made 126 dials. I spoke to 20 something people and I booked 12 appointments. I sold my first policy to Miss Moore. I'll never forget her. She had 2 kids, 30 years old, $80,000 mortgage. It was like $30 for full mortgage protection. I loaded that sucker up, Giovanna, with every single rider you could imagine. I stacked it up. It was $40. It made me $300 by the next week. Guys, I made $1,500 my first month in this business. Took me 27 days to make my first sale. But the next month I made 6 grand. The month after that, Wilbur, I made 8. The month after that, Scott, I made 13,000. And after that, I said, Grandma, we're going to Mexico. And I bought her an all expense paid to Mexico trip for putting up with my BS.
This story was so worth to like, you could even taken the whole next 10 minutes. I just because it was so impactful for me. I'm like going back through the time here of me hearing this for the first time 4 years ago, and how many times since then I've thought about, am I even a Symmetry agent this week? Let me pull out my checklist. It's just that one thing. And that's why, plugging into calls and being on camera and taking notes so important for me and my journey, Andrew, because there's been some things that have been said along the way where I have thought about them every single week since I started here. And that's one of those things where I pull out the checklist and I'm like, all right, let me see if I can check these boxes right now. And I don't think I can check the box that I'm actually getting mentored this week. So I need to pick that up. And I stopped reading this last book 3 weeks ago, and I haven't picked one up yet. And how many more weeks am I going to wait before I pick up the next book? And I was expecting to get the results from 274 dials this week. Of course I didn't, because that's not what the system calls for. So let me go check this box. And it's kind of been like this constant, just like you had. It was like, if I'm going to be in business this week, I'm going to check these 4 boxes. And I'm reading down the list right now. Make three to $500 each week. Set a minimum of 12 to 15 appointments. Seek counsel often. Adapt quickly. Ask the right questions. What do I do next? How can I improve? Like, we cannot steer a parked car. That's what massive action, constant correction is.
Yep.
And dude, I appreciate you for doing that. You actually made more than me your second month. So although you had a way slower start, you made a lot more dials than I did first month. I only made $1,200 my second month here, Andrew.
And
I had a really good job to go back to. You didn't.
and I think there's all these intangibles or like X factors, as people like to say it. But I also think that for everybody, sometimes when your back's up against the wall and you give yourself no plan B, don't do it to the level of detriment. And then all of a sudden you got 2 weeks to try to figure it out. But truly, like, Scott, I just found a point where I was also very spiteful that I couldn't let everyone else be right. I couldn't let them be right that this wasn't a good idea. I couldn't let them be right that I'm not going to make any money. I couldn't let them tell me what my story was going to be before I even got a chance to write it. Like I'm just no, I'm too stubborn. Maybe I don't know,
Yeah.
or hard.
It's a good It's a good thing sometimes. It's a good thing. Man, anything I just kind of clicked to me too. I'm coming to see you next weekend.
I know, dude. I'm so excited to see
This
you.
just clicked. Wow. Perfect timing. We've had I usually host our Monday call. Like it's like a staple for me that I'll be the one that actually hosts it. We've had the last 5 weeks. You're ending our series, so it's back to me next week. Sorry, guys, we're gonna go down to like 30 in attendance. We had Jamie Cuppernill, we had Jordan, not Shank. We had Jordan. My blanking on his name. Help me out here.
Huh.
Hunt. We had
Gordon
Brad
Hunt.
Smith. We had Brad Smith on. Who else did we have on, guys? We have Melissa Martinez.
Melissa Martinez.
Melissa
Yeah.
Martinez is absolutely killing it right now.
All
Awesome.
incredible people.
Incredible call. Who else did we have on? This is like
Tristan.
who?
Tristan.
Kristen?
Tristan.
Kristen Strickland.
Strickland.
Yep. Yeah, so it's been like a few, like about 6 weeks, and you're wrapping it up for us here. So this has been great, man. I think for that story alone, it very impactful for the team. If there's anything on your heart that you want to share with us right now, I'd love to hear it. Got nothing else for you, man. Didn't plan for this one.
There's something I've been really talking about with people recently, um, about your ability to develop a skill set is directly linked to how much money and income you'll actually make in this business. Uh, that's kind of something I've been talking about with my guys. It won't take me more than a few minutes to kind of just chat about that if you're good with it.
Let's go.
Cool. So it for those of you guys who don't know, the insurance world is massive, right? Like, but I don't think people can actually really grasp just how large it is sometimes. But in our world, the best possible thing and the most lucrative thing that we have, even if you're brand new and you don't know jack diddly about nothing right now, is you can make way more income by focusing on how much you learn about our industry. Okay. So what I recommend is that you really focus on every quarter developing a skill set in our three main areas. Okay. I call them it's BRP, right? It's building, resets, production. And, create your agent development path. Like what do you want your agent career to look like as you develop each of these three areas every quarter, every 6 months, and apply them, yada, 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 right? But for instance, like year one, you should be able to come in here and go ahead and help 100 and 150 clients of mortgage protection and final expense products. You should be able to do that year two and year three, right? But if you go out there and you learn new skills around resets and you learn how to go ahead and do DFL and IUL next year, maybe your third year, you learn how to do like annuity, right? You've developed your skill sets. By the time, guys, you get to about 300 clients, you can make it that you can forever work your book of business.
Never have to buy leads again.
Never have to buy leads again. And I've been walking this out with several of my guys that even if they're brand new, and I got a guy here, Scott, and I'm going to try to do this. This is very impromptu, my friends, but can someone give me co-host and I'll show
Yeah,
you
take
what I'm
it.
working with?
Yeah,
You
take
about to
it.
whiteboard it, dude?
I am. Check this out.
All right, everyone, hands up, hands up
Yeah.
in the air. No, I'm just kidding. If you know, you know.
All right, cool. Y'all, can you see this? I walked this through with one of my agents. This is literally his numbers. This is a little hard for me.
Yeah,
But so year one, he had written 80 to 100 mortgage protection final expense. Year two and year three, he had quite literally 300 applications by September 30th was the dealio. But he kept finding himself in a position, Scott, where he was just like, he would try something new, he'd buy digital leads and all of a sudden jack up his cash flow. And then he'd get himself back in a spot where he bought mortgage protection leads and he was doing good and everything get back. And, maybe he
yep.
took some time off, he moved and he just disrupted his momentum. And I just asked him, I was like, why aren't you working with like your past clients? Like you should have plenty of clients with 302 to be
Oh
able to
yeah.
go out there and sustain your business while you continue to work your own. And he said, well, I'll be honest, I haven't at all. And I said, okay. And Scott, I'm just going to use you, for the agent. And so I said,
Yeah.
Scott, is it unreasonable out of your 302 clients you have right now that 150 of those are actually probably real clients, no duplicate apps, etc. But out of
Yeah.
150 clients, is it unreasonable to say you can't get another 30 applications or 30 referrals from those? Is it unreasonable?
Easily.
He
Yeah.
said, yeah, he's like,
Easily.
no. I said, is it also unreasonable to say you can get those 30 over the next 6 months between October and March?
Absolutely.
So I said, then let me show you just how you can get to a point that even if you've gone out here and just done 80 to 100 applications a year over a 3-year period, and assuming really dumbed down, you can afford all of your lead costs right now and stop putting yourself in a stress position of feeling like you're in a perpetual cycle. And I said, in 6 months, you could get to the point, my friend, where you're just working your book of business over and over. So
Mm.
I said, for you, your skill set you got to work on, that P, is generating referrals, right? Develop that skill set over this next quarter. So I said, out of those 5 applications a month, literally just getting 30 referrals over the next 6 months, you're gonna write $2,500 or 5 grand at $2,500 of income. I'm assuming he's writing IULE, Americos, yes, that type of stuff. So I even dumbed it down for him. But I said, man, that's gonna give you 600 a week in leads that you can go in there and can continue to get 20 to 30 CIAs. You completely replaced all your lead cost by just developing a new skill set. And I said, by the time March comes around, you're gonna have 60 new clients.
Mm.
And I said, if you do this right, man, and you go learn how to write higher level cash value IULs, DFL, IBC, resets, and learn how to develop your building skill and learning how to self-manage, learning how to go ahead and trying to stop share and stuff. But how do I unshare? Switch camera.
I got you.
Okay. If you just go ahead and learn how to grow your skill sets, you'll make your life easier. You'll make more money on less work. You'll be able to go ahead and realize just how much you can amplify. And I can tell you guys this, Sabina, this is a business where your skill set is going to transcend a lifetime. And not going out there to work on these things to develop us and work in your 3 areas. Building, do I need to become a better interviewer? Do I need to become better at managing myself? Do I need to become better at actually coaching and mentoring and walking people through? Like, what's the skill set you want to learn there over the next quarter? The resets, is it just doing some resets? Is it getting better at your fact finding? Is it learning how to do IULs and DFLs right now? I don't know. I'll talk to your mentor, ask that question. For most people, I can guarantee it's probably just doing some resets and getting better at your fact finding. Or maybe 3, it's, your production. Do I need to learn funnel? Do I need to learn how to get referrals more effectively? Do I need to just go ahead and turn around, Wilbur, and go through all my clients from last November or all my appointments from last November until January, and just start going and taking every single one of those, put them on my calendar for this Friday to roll through and book appointments with next week to do a policy review? Or 2, realize, oh shoot, I helped out Giovanna, but I know I never wrote her husband. We talked about that. Now you got all of a sudden policy reviews and things set up.
Oh,
So
we could talk for 20 minutes about ideas of ways for you to turn up business in your book. Which is why I believe you about 300 clients could feed you. Um, it's insane. Like we could really brainstorm that. Even like if you're brand new, Andrew, and you don't have that book of business, how about like just getting really, really, really stinking good at getting people to show up to an appointment and getting over objections on the first phone call. Like that's the phase that you're in. That's the skill set of the P that you're in right now that you need to master. Man, thank you. This was laid back. It was insightful. I know for some of us that have been producing for a few years, it was tactical as well, man. Thank you for thanks for coming and pouring into the team today. I guess I'll see you next weekend. I totally forgot about that until now.
yeah. All right, everybody. Y'all have a good one.
All right, man. Y'all have a great day. Let's kill it this week. See you guys. Love y'all. Bye.